Irish Government Primary School since I left in 2001. But not Mr. James Samro. He looks the same, he sounds the same. Mr. Chairman. The representatives from both tutor and the Ministry of Education, PTA Vice President, Mrs. Julia Bachoo, especially invited guests, Principal of Irish Government Primary School, Mr. Ephraim Rambisu, former Principal, Mr. Sylvester McKnight. Thank you very much for making time to connect and reconnect even in retirement. That means a lot, I'm sure, to the students as well as the parents. To the principal, members of the staff, to the ancillary staff, to the parents, and to most importantly, the graduating class of 2025. Thank you all very much for inviting me here. It's a little bit nostalgic to come back, but things are so different now at Irish Government Primary School than when I left home. Not least because you all had a new building and a new school for about 3 years that you couldn't use because of COVID-19. But the curriculum has changed, the teachers have changed, and the mentality of the school has changed. And when I do these speeches, especially for graduations, I like to speak not only to the graduating class, which is very important and which is the most important audience here today, but I also like to speak to the teachers and especially the parents. And I think it becomes even more important today than any other school that I've spoken at in recent times. Not least because I was a student at this school and I feel so much closer and so much more connected. But also, let's face it, if we really think about it, our students go to school in a challenging community, in a rural community, where there are not many opportunities or is not as much opportunities as schools in Port of Spain or schools in the town areas. And so our teachers and our principal and our ancillary staff are forced every single day to make the best out of what they have. And so it's really the teachers that I really wanted to start with. Because when I walked in here, the first thing that this graduating class of 2025 got to understand is that 20 years ago, when I graduated, we were still at the school. We didn't have these pretty gowns on. We had shirts and pants and the school uniform. And today, to see you all looking so precious in gowns and your hair well done, and you all look so pretty and handsome, shows me how far the teachers and the principals, present and past, have brought this small school from rural South India. And I know to the students, I sat up there and I said, God, how can I communicate just what that school was like compared to the school that you guys have gone to? And perhaps Mr. James and Mrs. Haricharan and Mrs. Paulessa can really paint that picture a lot better for you than I would be able to. Because they were at that school even before I entered the school. And they have seen that school grow, and not only have they seen it grow, they've helped it to grow into what it is today. So all the teachers that have been doing human service, and Mr. James, Mrs. Haricharan, Mrs. Paulessa, Mrs. Rambisu, to all of the teachers that are here and those names that I haven't called, I know that the students may not be aware. I know that some of the parents may not be aware. I know that you all don't have the resources. I know that you all have to use time out of your own time, out of your own family time to do this job. I know that the pay isn't great. I know that the Ministry of Education and other arms of government that really ought to be supporting you all don't get that. I know. I cover it, I hear about it, I read about it every night on news. It's not easy. But somehow, I don't know, I've never been a teacher. get it done. Academic year after academic year after academic year. To the parents, today is an important day for you to be present, and you are present. I'm not sure if you read the Guardian newspaper, but I wrote a story on Sunday, Father's Day, and I interviewed Shaka Hislop. Do you guys know who Shaka Hislop is? He's a former Trinidad and Tobago goalkeeper. Just before you guys were born, Trinidad and Tobago qualified for its first ever World Cup in 2005. Shaka Hislop was a goalkeeper. Hopefully this year you all will see Trinidad and Tobago qualify for a World Cup this year. But I was talking to Shaka in that interview, and he said something that stayed with me. In my last question, I asked him, if you had to give advice to fathers and expectant parents, what would you tell them? And his answer was simple but striking. His answer to me was, the greatest gift you can give your child is to be present. And it might sound cliche, but in a lot of homes, I mean, you're talking to a journalist who covers and reads news every night. So I know, in a lot of homes across Trinidad and Tobago, that simple presence is missing. And there's a ripple effect across the entire country that redounds to what we read in the crime news and the social news every day. And so being here today is important, but being present every single day, particularly over the next 5 years, particularly over the next 7 years during their secondary school life, is going to be equally important. Because really and truly, that's going to be the most important 7 years or 5 years of these children's lives. This is where they're going to mature. This is where they're going to grow. This is where their habits are going to stick on to them. Right now, things could change with them. Things that you don't like, things that you like, those things could change because they're still very young. But over the next 5 years, habits, how they speak, the words that they use, the vocabulary that they use, how much they study, how they speak to people, how they respect people, how they give other people a chance to listen and to understand and to speak. All of the traits and the habits that you like and dislike in other people, you get a chance over the next 5 years, over the next 7 years, to mold your child into that person that you want to be proud of. But more than that, I challenge you as you go into secondary school to be a part of the school life of your child. The life of your child is not just at the front gate of the school when you drop them off and when you pick them up. I want to point out Miss Insan Ali, who would have led the children in that beautiful song. And just to see her, and I'm sure just seeing her lead these children here, I wasn't here in preparing your graduation, but I could tell that she spent a number of hours practicing with you guys, those dance moves, making sure that you sang properly, and countless hours, I'm sure, after school, before school, during school, whenever. I could tell by how beautifully you guys sung that Miss Insan Ali spent a lot of time with you guys. And parents, that's the great sacrifice when we talk about sacrifice. It's not just about, let's do homework now, but how do you make time to actively participate in your child's school life? And I dare say, covering so many schools, speaking at so many schools, one of the glaring differences in prestige schools versus state schools is really the active involvement of parents in their children's lives and in their children's classes. And I'm not asking you parents to take a day off from a much needed job that you need to provide for your students. But I'm saying in small ways, if you can bake 2 cakes and take it to the form class and they have a Friday party, I don't know. You guys can come up with your own plans. But that need to be actively involved in your child's secondary school life could really mean the difference of what your child emerges in 5 years. To the students, First of all, congratulations on getting to this point. When I went to school, and perhaps it is true for you all as well, when I went to school, a few of our students didn't make it to graduation because of societal challenges, because of challenges at home, because of their own problems. They just never made it to graduation. And so you all have stuck it through for 5 to 7 years, and you have made it here today. And this is the first real hurdle that you have crossed, and you deserve to celebrate it with a pretty gown on. You deserve to celebrate it in a beautiful ambience hall. You deserve to celebrate it with your parents, and you deserve to have a day to remember. But life is about to get very, very, very challenging. Challenging in a good way, depending on how you look at it. Because what you're going to find now more than ever, because I'm sure it's happened to you in the last 5 to 7 years, but what you're going to find now more than ever as you enter secondary school, is you're going to find yourself looking at the person next to you in classes, in where you sit, in the tables that you sit, in the classes next to you. You're going to find yourself looking at other people. And other people are going to be looking at you as well. And they're going to be looking at you for what you have, for what you can do, for the things that you do, for your talents. They're going to be looking at you, and you're going to be looking at them. And I want to guard you today against feeling the need to be somebody else. I want to guard you today against being jealous of somebody else. It's Leah Marie, that song, right? I got the name right?
Sia.
Not everybody can sing like Leah Marie. Leah Marie has this extraordinary talent to sing. But Leah Marie may not be able to play netball like our friend in the corner, because she has her own talent. And she's going to represent the secondary school in the sport of netball. Anybody knows the name Usain Bolt? Yeah? Anybody knows the name Usain? What is Usain Bolt? Who is that? Famous sprinter, right? And he broke 3 world records, right? 4x1, men's 200 meters, men's 100 meters. 3 gold medals, right? Across 3 Olympic Games. Usain Bolt has scoliosis. Do you know what scoliosis is? Scoliosis is a bend in your spine which prevents you from standing upright. So almost like you have to walk like this all the time. Usain Bolt, the greatest sprinter in the history of the sport of track and field, and in my opinion, the greatest athlete to ever walk the earth. He has scoliosis, meaning that he can't stand straight. And for some surreal reason, he went into track and field, where you actually have a day, if you know track and field, the coach tells you, you run like this, you don't run like this, you run upright, your chest out. And for years upon years, Usain Bolt kept working on running upright. And he used that difference. He didn't make it an excuse, he used that difference to power him forward. Marshall Montano, anybody familiar with his music? Yeah? Marshall Montano, when he was your age, burst onto the scene, much like your principal is driving you all into calypso and extempo music and music as a whole. And Marshall Montano burst onto the scene very young. And you know what they said? Instead of saying, gosh, look, we've got this young prodigy who's doing so well. You know what Trinidadian said? Trinidadian said, he's too young. So you know what he did? He sang the song Too Young to Soca. They said that how he'll never be able to carry it on for a long time. He started too small, and he's eventually going to fade away. Marshall Montano has outlived the generation that I grew up in, and now you all also know the name Marshall Montano. So it goes to show you that the differences that people have really don't matter. What I want you all to do today, and if you take away nothing else from what I've said, I want you to be there's something called tunnel vision, laser focus. I want you to be focused on your lives, not the lives of your friends, not the lives of those sitting next to you. I want you to be focused on your life. Because you may be better in secondary school at biology, but I may be better at English. You may have an interest in mathematics, but I cannot stand mathematics. And so I want you all, with the help of your parents, I want you all to be focused on your lives. Focusing on other people's race and the race that they are running will slow you down, will make you feel that you are not running fast enough, will make you feel that you are not doing enough. Focus on your speed. Focus on the hurdles that you have to climb. Because not everybody is dealing with the same challenges. Some people are living in a one-parent home. Other people have both parents, but the parents can't get along. And you don't know when they go home that they can't study in peace. Everybody has their own challenges that we know nothing about because we only see them for 6 or 7 hours a day. So as you go into secondary school, please talk to the person next to you, laugh with them, love them, but don't be envious of them because they have strengths just like you have strengths. And they have weaknesses just like you have weaknesses. And if you can help them and they can help you, two of you will become better. The final person I want to talk about is Mr. I.G.P.S. This is the first time that I met Mr. I.G.P.S. Never heard of him, only heard of him when Mrs. Haracharan reached out to me and asked me to return here. And I asked him how long he's been here for, because the school looks completely different from what I know the school to be. And I think he told me last October. I think that Irish Government Primary School has found a gem in Mr. I.G.P.S. But I want to lay down a challenge to Mr. I.G.P.S. because he mentioned to me something, albeit briefly. He said that he's here for 3 years, so I imagine in 3 years he'll be retiring. And Mr. I.G.P.S., this excellent work that you are doing, music, culture, sports, education, fantastic. But I want to challenge you, Mr. I.G.P.S., as a student of Irish Government Primary School, this being my alma mater, I want to challenge you today that in 3 years, somebody is left behind with this legacy of yours to carry on. I don't want in 3 years, we come back and we say, you know, when Mr. I.G.P.S. was here, everything was so good. We were winning awards, we were winning races, we were in the newspaper, we were on our junior panorama. I don't want those days to be over. I want somebody, whoever is taking the baton from you, will be able to carry forward this. Imagine my surprise when I came here and found out that we have a school song. The only school song we had when I was here was the national anthem. And not even that we sound very good. But you all have learned a school song which brings patriotism to the school. And I want to challenge everyone, all of you here, to don't do what I once regretted. When I left for Cohen Hamilton, yes, life gets very busy, right? But I want you all to remember your primary school, and I want you all to come back and serve your primary school, even in your secondary school days, in whatever way you can. Don't forget it. Because I've never forgotten it. Because Steffi Cowlessa, who I went to school with, and who was a valedictorian when I went to school, she never forgot it, and today she lives in Japan. So this school of yours This school of yours has actually produced terrific citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. That small little school in a small hidden away village in a small town that nobody outside of Princestown seems to care about in Port of Spain. That small little school has produced remarkable citizens of this country. And you all are the next remarkable citizens that are going to emerge out of our government primary school. And I want you to believe that. I want you to believe that simply because sometimes I feel, I was having a conversation with Mr. James, sometimes I feel that our students, particularly out of our government primary school, feel because they come from a rural school with not much resources, that's hidden away from plain sight, that we too are hidden away, and we too, we can't achieve what Newtown Boys RC in Port of Spain is achieving, or ASJA in Port of Spain is achieving. No, we can too, you can too. In the same way that very school that you all attend, that very school, the memories of that very school helped shape my debut novel this year. It was out of the memories of being not a teenager at Cohenhampton Secondary School, not a college graduate at Costat. It was out of those early memories of my childhood I was able to write a book that was based in the 1970s and early 80s. And so I want to end this morning by dedicating this copy to the Irish Government Primary School Library. In class of 2025, enjoy the next 2 months. Enjoy it. This is your time to relax, unwind, but also prepare for a new chapter. But remember, this is only the beginning of something, not the end. Thank you.